Share screen. Should I start now? Can you see my screen?
Yes, Anuradha, please go ahead.
Yes, ma'am.
A very good evening to each and every friend of mine. As Yamini said rightly that we came from the same alma mater with the same guide. I can see many of my friends and of course my dearest friend Vaidehi. Mitra madam, my namaskar to you. Surekha, hi to you. And once again, good evening to everybody. Friends, you all know that we all are facing a pandemic now, a pandemic of webinars. And इस pandemic of webinars से बचना मुश्किल ही नहीं, नामुमकिन है. जाने भी दो यारो. Why to talk about that pandemic? Let us talk about something else. Now let me ask you, which was your favorite class or which was your favorite period in your school days? What, Yamini? Maths? Come on, yaar, no. Vaidhi? Science? No, 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 no. So everybody is having a different choice, but I'm sure everybody will unanimously agree that our favorite period was free period or off period. And our great headmaster, who is very strict and meticulous, but who is so lovable, Vaidehi ma'am, has today announced this free period for all of us. Thank you, Vaidehi ma'am. And so we are having this storytelling session. Here I'm going to tell you a story. वैसे भी यारो बहुत साल हुए ना किसी ने हमने स्टोरी सुनाई ना हमने किसी को सुनाई. Once upon a time, long ago, in 17th century, there used to exist one empire called Habsburg Empire. It was made up of two erstwhile countries, as you can see on the screen, Austria and Hungary. Austria was very, very rich. This is the capital city of Austria, Vienna, and you can see that royalness and greatness of Austria. While Hungary was its poor cousin. There was a small town in Hungary, Budapest. There used to live a grocer couple, Teresa Muller and Joseph Muller, who were parents of Ignaz, whose story I'm going to tell you today. Ignaz, he was known as Nazi in 1830. This is not only a story of Ignaz, but as Vaidehi rightly said, this is a story of a person who changed the face of motherhood. Ignaz Semmelweis. He was different from the birth only. And instead of continuing with his family business of grocery, he decided to shift to a bigger place, that is Vienna. And he shifted to Vienna to earn his fortune. He enrolled himself at Vienna University in 1837. He entered law school first, but later on he changed to medicine. Let me tell you, friends, at that time, pathology was at the top. That was the topmost branch. And Rokitansky was a star. So Ignaz Semmelweis wanted to take up pathology or clinical medicine, but he was refused the post. So he took obstetrics as his third choice. But he was very shy. He was diffident and he had an extreme inferiority complex because of his social background and language. Same is true with many of our Vidarbhian friends when we go for our post-graduation or super specialization to Mumbai. And we definitely face this inferiority complex of this glittering city of Mumbai. See this Aligemens Krankenhaus, that is Vienna General Hospital. You can see the grand stature here. This imposing edifice was enough to give inferiority complex to anybody. Forget about Ignaz coming from the small place. At that time, all these stalwarts were working in the Vienna hospital. Von Habra, Joseph Skoda, and Rokitansky. They all were working they were the star faculties at Vienna hospital. When Ignaz Semmelweis was working in this Vienna hospital, obstetrics was plagued by a rampant disease called childbed fever. Aristocratic ladies used to come to this great hospital for the delivery. They used to deliver and they used to develop fever within 24 hours. Foul smelling discharge. They used to deteriorate and many of them used to die, never used to reach home back. It used to kill 25% mothers in the hospital. This pandemic was going on in many hospitals. Ignaz started thinking, what might be the cause of childbed fever? Some hypotheses were put forth. Some suggested miasma, that is bad weather, might be responsible for this. But irrespective of the season, this childbed fever was going on. See what the treatment they used to offer. They used to offer either enema or bloodletting. And to this treatment, already exhausted lady, you never used to tolerate and used to succumb to this treatment. Suddenly, this Vienna Medical School, once upon a time, a glittery structure started looking gloomy. It started looking mysterious. Some like a suspense movie. गूढ आणि भुताटकी सारखं दिसायला लागलं. See the condition in obstetrics ward. You can see overcrowding. On the left-hand side, you can see 2-3 ladies who have delivered or in labor on the same bed. On the right side, you can make out the same wash basin used for all the ladies. In the left corner, you can see they were packing the dead bodies in the same ward. Do you recollect some videos which were posted during this Corona season? Situation is still the same. I'm not going to discuss the blame game. I'm talking about utter helplessness. And see, in the middle, ultimately, the fate of the lady was left on poor Jesus, who is standing in the middle, absolutely helplessly. Women started preferring home deliveries. Instead of going to the hospital, they preferred home deliveries. As I told you, Rokitansky was a star at that time. He was a professor of pathologic anatomy, and Pathological Institute was like a concert hall in medicine. At that time, they used to do 30,000 postmortem dissections. Can you imagine? 100 dissections per day. With his scientific mind, Ignaz Semmelweis went to Rokitansky. Influenced and encouraged by Rokitansky, Ignaz started dissecting these female cadavers of the females who have died because of childbed fever. Tragedy struck close to him when he lost his mentor, Jacob Kolstaka, to the sepsis resulting from the wound infection of this dead bodies dissection. In Vienna Medical General School, at that time, there were 2 divisions, just like today. One division, like division 1 was, we can compare it with today's paying ward, where all the ladies from high socio-economic strata or aristocratic ladies used to come for the delivery. In division 1, deliveries were conducted by obstetrician and medical students. While in division 2, like a general ward, the ladies from socio-economic strata, they used to come. Midwives used to conduct the deliveries. But paradoxically, the childbed fever was very high in division 1, where aristocratic ladies, socio-economically high ladies, and obstetrician were conducting the deliveries. While in division 2, poor ladies, deliveries conducted by midwives, and childbed fever mortality was very less. This paradox was obvious. Mortality in division 2 was almost 1/10. So Ignaz started working on it. His scientific mind was moved and he said that he has to find out the solution. I am showing you the graphs which were plotted during 1840 and 1845, 150 years back. My dear friends, that was the era when there was no calculator, no computer, No statistical test, no IT persons to help you. This is a single-handed work done by a genius. And you can clear-cut see the graph showing the division 1 and division 2. He plotted the data absolutely in a statistical way. This is a typical statistical data, and this will put any present day studies to shame. We have got lot of help still. इतना scientifically हम में से कितने लोग workout करते हैं. He plotted his graphs. He studied the observations, and these ultimate observations which are made by Semmelweis are: deliveries conducted by midwives had low incidence of childbed fever. Mothers delivered at home had a very low mortality. No relation to weather or season. Greater the injury to the cervix, greater is the likelihood of childbed fever. Closing the ward reduced the mortality, just like lockdown today. When we do lockdown, temporarily the mortality of COVID comes down. So it increased when a new batch of students came in. So these are the proper observations made by Ignaz Semmelweis. So he started thinking why the division 1 is performing poorly in spite of having that much of knowledge. This is the day in a life of a medical student of Vienna Medical Hospital. Cadaveric dissection was integral part to all the specialties in the medical learning. Students were continuously busy in dissection room, and whenever a lady used to come in labor, they used to rush from the dissecting room to the labor ward, but without changing the clothes, without washing the hands. They used to conduct the deliveries directly from the dissection room to the labor room. This is how they were carrying the cadaver stench to the patients. Single wash basin was used for perineal wash for all the patients using same wash cloth. These are the deductions made by Semmelweis. He said that invisible cadaver particles recognized only by their odor, smell, are responsible for childbed fever. Very, very, very important deduction. Why he is calling it as invisible cadaver particles? Friends, once again, let me remind you that I'm telling you a story of 150 years back. The terms like infection, bacteria, virus, sepsis were non-existent at that time. So he uses the term invisible cadaver particles. He has realized the importance of odor and smell, which we are talking even now regarding COVID. He said that 3 factors are required for childbed fever: source of putrid material, a means of transport for the source to the victim, which residents used to carry, injured surface, either cervix or the vagina. Hence, he said that childbed fever is transmissible but not contagious. A very bold statement, not like today's guidelines, which are changing again and again. He said very clearly that childbed fever is transmissible but not contagious. He found out the solution also. He said that hand washing with the chlorine, see, the life has taken complete circle. And for HIV also, we started introducing washing with chlorine. Hand washing with chlorine solution till what is the end point? No, sirf haath dale, dubaye aur nikale, no, till the skin becomes slippery and till the cadaver smell has gone. It definitely takes a minute. So complete hand washing. He immediately implemented this hand washing rigorously and vigorously in every obstetric ward. And after introducing this hand washing, the mortality in division 1 came down drastically. Explanation was found out. He has showed the result, but not accepted. Even today, if a junior person comes out with some brilliant idea, the first response by so-called seniors is big no. It is a bitter truth, my dear friends. Let us accept it. His seniors like Klein flatly refused to accept the theory. This was truly a great scientific feat. This was not a chance discovery or an accidental discovery. Alexander Fleming discovered penicillin just by chance because he forgot to take out the petri dish. Roentgen discovered X-ray accidentally by seeing the imprint of his wife's ring. I have great respect for both these persons, Roentgen as well as Fleming, but my respect for Ignaz Semmelweis is next level. Because here it was not a chance. It was not an accident. Someone has put his scientific mind. Someone has put his heart and soul. Someone has worked tirelessly overnight only for the sake of motherhood. My salutations to this person. He formed a hypothesis. He suspected it. He formed an hypothesis. He made his observations. He collected the data properly and analyzed it in an absolute scientific way. He tested the hypothesis and he replicated. This is a typical cohort study, what we call in today's language. He followed a perfect pattern of any research, aims and objectives, observations, materials and methods, procedure, analysis. Most important, he repeatedly showed the results. That is evidence-based medicine. In a true sense, it was rising of purple sun over Vienna. This is a hallmark painting by Robert Thorne, which is there in the museum. It is known as Defender of Motherhood. What a great title. And then the irony is, why were his findings not accepted? Because he awakened too soon in the darkness. Louis Pasteur demonstrated bacteria 9 years later. Jacob Lister described antisepsis 20 years later. Ignaz Semmelweis was wide awake when everyone was fast asleep, and that was his mistake. He did two major mistakes. He considered himself as a graceless outsider coming from a small village of Budapest, from a wrong social class, from a wrong place and a wrong dialect. Just when victory was within the grasp, he lost his heart. He was completely broken because nobody was ready to accept it. He did not publish the doctrine, and ultimately he fled back to Hungary, that old small place in Budapest. Life back in Hungary. He became a director of obstetrics at University of Pest Buda. He alienated a lot of people by his tactless and arrogant approach. He started writing abusive letters to all leading obstetricians, attacking them for not accepting his doctrine. I completely understand this psychology. इतक्या तळमळीने केलेला रिसर्च जेव्हा एकही माणूस ऍक्सेप्ट करत नाही, तेव्हा याच्यापेक्षा दुसरं काय होणार आहे? He published a book, Etiology and Concept of Puerperal Fever. But unfortunately, people either ignored it or attacked it. So he was completely shattered. He was completely broken, and mentally and physically he deteriorated. He started calling the leading obstetricians as murderers. By 1865, he became uncontrollably psychotic. You can see here, 57 to 61 in 4 years. A person can change like this just because of the stress and trauma, just because of the bitter truth that nobody is ready to accept me. Ultimately, he was put to mental asylum at Vienna by his wife and his close friend, von Harba, in 1865. See this restraining jacket where in asylum, they used to put the person inside it, and they used to beat him mercilessly. last, he died in 2 weeks of sepsis occurring in the wounds. Alas, what an irony of fate. Somebody is dying because of the reason for which he fought throughout the life. That only became a cause of his death. He was buried in Vienna. Again, an alien, even in death. Friends, genius can be cruel. Genius can be cruel, and those possessed of it or by it are utterly helpless. His life story is just like a Greek tragedy. In a true sense, he was a hero. He had a truth to preach. He took up a mission to propagate that truth. He was passionate to the extent of becoming arrogant, and that was the reason which led to his downfall. A classic Greek tragedy. As usual, people realized the importance of his hard work and scientific work only after his death. Coins were minted on his name. Postal stamps were released. His residence is converted into a museum. His remnants were honorably transferred to his original place, that is Budapest. Now it has become an important monument for tourists. But everything was done after his death. This is the irony of fate. He was a perfect example. He was a perfect example of scientific thinking. And at the same time, he was a perfect example of how one's point should not be proved. In today's practical world, how one should be diplomatic in put forthing one's argument and not to step on other people's cons. कुणाच्या तरी दुखऱ्या नसेवर पाय नाही ठेवला पाहिजे. My story ends here. Now let me ask you, why we tell stories to our children? Just to entertain them? Just to put them to sleep? Or just to show them that how good storyteller you are? No. No, no, my dear friend. We tell stories because there is always a hidden message behind every story. And there are great messages in the story of this great defender of motherhood. What are these important messages? Show courage to stand by one's convictions. If you're sure, if you have scientifically researched on something, show the courage to stand by one's convictions. Don't lose heart and don't run away in between. Please, please publish in scientific journals. Humility and politeness in convincing others. You have to be polite. Initially, just take it granted that there will be a resistance from all the sides. Make a group of your helping friends. Be polite, convince your seniors, and once they're convinced, after a few years, believe me that victory is yours. And once you will win, then you can do any dadagiri. The most important lesson which all of us have forgotten is hand washing, which he has introduced. We all know that our hand is a germ farm. There are many bacteria and viruses living happily and jumping on our fingers. ATM machines have same number of microbes as toilet seats in UK. Elevator buttons have 35 times more microbes. Mobile phones have 18 times more microbes. More the things change, the more they remain the same. Our old villains were streptococci and staphylococci. Now our new villains are swine flu, Congo fever, and COVID-19. India has got this superbug named after its capital, Delhi, New Delhi Metallo-beta-lactamase, NDM. Lot of hue and cry is there in the media regarding suppressing the emerging medical tourism in India. I don't want to indulge into that controversy, but one thing is sure, microbes strike back. They're just waiting for the opportunity. दबा धरून बसलेले असतात. And even with that first opportunity, with that first second, they attack on you when you are totally unprepared and clueless. And then there is a wisdom in hindsight. If I ask you, friends, what is the cause of this re-emergence of the swine flu or COVID? I'm sure everyone is having one or the other reason. Someone will say zoonotic diseases. Someone will indulge into a biological warfare and what is the role of China. Somebody will say that there is no research on vaccines. Somebody will say there are no infection control committees in our hospital. Somebody will say no antibiotic policies, erratic and irrational use of antibiotics, and over-the-counter prescription. The list is unending. But to be honest, in the corner of our heart, everybody knows to some extent, somewhere, we are responsible to this situation. So now, instead of blaming others, let us take the responsibility on our shoulders and let us see what we can do. Because when we are unprepared and such pandemic occurs, suddenly we are jolted out of slumber. Then we start doing every possible thing. Posters will be put up in every nook and corner. Advertisements will go on radio, television, even on the mobile. Ringtones will be changed. Suddenly, the teacher will become very strict and she will check whether hand washing kiya hai ki nahi hai. Hospitals will become strict. Doctors will become strict. Every possible thing is done by every small little creature on the planet. But unfortunately, after the major damage has already been done. Still, friends, it is better late than never. So let us implement this hand washing rigorously, which now has proved that it is the only solution. And 150 years after Ignaz's discovery, we have come again to that square one. Let us not substitute hand washing in operation theaters. Because sanitization leads to a biofilm formation on the hands. Many times we have seen our anesthetists, oh, mujhe to spinal dena hai. I'm not going to enter inside the abdomen. Many times an endoscopic surgeon, mujhe to enter karna hi nahi hai. So they just take lot of sterilium or sanitization and they proceed. My dear friends, it's my earnest request to stop using sanitizer only when you are entering inside the operation theater, because it leads to film formation, and below the film, the bacteria or viruses grow silently and happily. So remember, hand wash is very, very important and required after every third use of sanitizer. We all celebrate this World Hand Washing Day. That shows a perfect synchronization between hand, soap and water drop. It is not showing a synchronization between sanitizer and hand. So hand washing means hand washing. Do you remember this ad? Do you remember this ad? Audio nahi aa raha hai. ठीक है.
There is no audio.
I think she was telling, "Hey Bunty, tera sabun slow hai kya?" Bunty was 100% right. Bunty's mother was 110% right. Wash your hands vigorously. But we all were laughing at Bunty at that time. And now Bunty must be laughing at us. So let us implement hand washing properly. Friends, those who ignore history are doomed to repeat it. And that's why we are repeating it during this corona pandemic. We always pray for our situation to change. But don't forget, the situation was designed for us to change. So let us go back to humanity. Let us rigorously implement this hand washing. And I think that will be the great tribute to this great person, Ignaz Semmelweis. Thank you, my dear friends.
Rodgi, over to you, Rodgi ma'am. Manjula ma'am. Anuradha, can you stop sharing the screen, please?
I will.
This was truly one of the most outstanding sessions we had, Anuradha. Till ma'am gives her concluding remarks, please go through the chat box. People are overwhelmed with the kind of storytelling session we had today. Absolutely outstanding. Dr. Odgi ma'am, in the meanwhile, I will change the settings and I'll allow the participants to unmute themselves one by one, or maybe you can raise hands and we can unmute you one by one.
Yeah.
So
Maybe
you can give
just
your remarks.
now I can see Rohatgi madam. Madam,
Ma'am, आप unmute करके बोल सकते हैं. I've also changed the settings, so one by one you all can give your remarks to this wonderful storytelling session.
Rodgi ma'am, you will have to unmute yourself. Ma'am,
Rodgi
you
ma'am,
are on
unmute.
mute.
Yeah. That's right.
Yes, ma'am. Now
Yeah,
you
yeah.
can continue, ma'am.
Anura, you were always excellent speaker, and this time you were super, super duper, I would say that. I remember your first talk few years ago, that was also infection and the death of the children, long time back. And I said, that was one talk which I wanted to present you before the nurses in the ward and in the hospital, how to remain, to get rid of this infection and save the mother and the child, long time back. However, today you have gone into depth to find out who was the person who was who played a key role in prevention of infection and preventing our the mothers from dying. But then you'll be surprised that now we have improved ourselves a lot. And I was given a charge of statically putting this death rate in maternal mortality in Lata Mangeshwar Hospital in Hingna. And I found that all the diseases which used to kill most of the mother during from in the postpartum, it was not that. Now we have got a new this bacteria, not bacteria, but a virus which is killing everyone, as you said, from swine flu and that flu and that flu, and now the now we have got this virus with Corona 19, which is killing us all. So the thing is changing over the years, and they don't want to live, don't want anybody to live in a proper way. And so washing of the hand, which was a old theory, has come back again for everyone, that you must wash hands. Now I will say to know that when I was in England, I found nobody washed hands. They would sit on the table and call food. हमने कभी नहीं देखा ये सब. But then I was surprised that they don't wash their hands, and even after eating, they would go and wash their mouth or do a gargle or anything like that. So they all had bad tooth, most of them, and they had infection, skin infection also, most of them. But in the theater, they were very, very careful. I remember everybody had to, the sister in charge used to say, 3 minutes it was written, wash your hands for 3 minutes with a brush. And we all used to wash our hands so that there is no infection. Mind you, in England, there was no antibiotics given to the post-operative patient. That was something I couldn't believe. How can a woman be without infection and they don't get antibiotics? When I came back to India and I was in Bill Memorial Hospital, and I found that a patient died or had a sepsis following tubectomy. I had done a beautiful surgery as far as surgery was concerned. But I was surprised, how can she have sepsis when the thing was done so nicely? Then I realized the infection was in her body. Her body didn't have any, they were not prepared well to have a bath or clean clothes. Another thing was that they had no immunity to infection in that way. So the thing has changed, and now we don't have that because we have become more clever than before, from the infection at least. So the virus infection is still persisting, and we have to be very careful about it. Thank you, Anuradha.
thank you.
Thank you so much, ma'am. Over to you.
Before,
Yeah, go ahead.
before we go ahead, can I make a humble appeal for
Sure,
both?
please.
I am host of ICUG Governing Council, and all the fellows are requested to cast out of 25 one vote for me. This is my humble request.
Definitely. I'll be the one. Give you definitely.
All of us.
All of us.
Thank
will.
We had more than 250 doctors attending today, and I'm sure they will vote for you once now that they've heard you. They know you are the right candidate. So I have changed the settings, and you all can unmute and then maybe give some interesting comments on today's talk. Yeah, Dr. Mitra ma'am.
Evening, my dearest